Hey, good afternoon. I'm John Rhoads, and this is Rhoads Life Coaching. I have a question that I don't know that I've ever been in a conversation with anyone else about. I don't know that I've seen anywhere where we've discussed as a culture, or at least in my experience, what's the difference between being fierce and being aggressive. Our culture, and we kind of as a society, struggle with our want and desire of some sense of boldness, of assertiveness, but we have a very difficult time of delineating that outside of being aggressive. And I'm not sure why exactly that is. I have ideas about how we raise our children, the examples that we give them in terms of what assertiveness looks like, but we tend to very quickly define ourselves in terms of assertiveness in being aggressive. And we teach that to our young children. I have a very vivid memory of being at a youth football practice, second or third graders, where the coach was demonstrating to the little boys how to tackle and being assertive in their tackling. And the phrase that he was using to teach them to tackle as second and third graders was to get the hate in your heart. And it had a really big impact on me because I don't know what exactly he was trying to teach them, and I wonder what the impacts of that are after all these years. Do they remember that? Did it have an impact on them then? And did getting the hate in their heart teach them something about being young men that they carried forward into future relationships and how they approach the world? So for me, in this conversation, being aggressive versus being fierce are two different things. Aggressiveness, in my mind, has a sense of being violent, of causing some harm or damage that's different than being fierce. And fierce has an assertiveness to it, a boundary, a boldness that can be taken apart from the violence. Where in your life are you being aggressive instead of assertive? Aggressive instead of fierce? And maybe that fierceness can have the same level of power as the aggressiveness, but doesn't have the violent component. Where are you being fierce instead of aggressive? And is it possible to expand that mindset of being protective, of being bold, of being confident without having to have a violent negative impact on those around you or to yourself? Take some time and think about that. I'm curious of what your thoughts are and what the conversation is, because in my mind, teaching our young adults to be fierce has a much more positive outcome, potential impact of positive outcome, than teaching them to be aggressive. And instead of teaching them to be aggressive about romantic relationships, aggressive about business, aggressive about being in families, we can teach them to be fierce about who they are. Please ask questions. I'm curious as to what you think. I'd be happy to continue this conversation. I'm John Rhoads. This is Rhoads Life Coaching. I hope you're able to find purpose and meaning in your daily life.